If you can't lean on anybody for support, including your husband, I would think your husband would be the one person you could go to with these problems, and for your husband to say nice things to you and help you along the way. Mm-hmm. And I really wish we had that relationship.
Welcome to Thriving Relationships. I'm Jessica Hartley, relationship coach, radio host, and founder of the Legendary Love program. You're listening to a private session between Stephanie and myself. All names have been changed to protect privacy.
I was hoping when I got married that my husband was gonna help me feel loved, and that I was going to get those needs met through being married to him, and I was going to feel desired and appreciated and admired and respected. I've just realized he's probably not going to give it. He doesn't want to feel needed. He doesn't want to feel like he has to fill up my well. And unfortunately, I do have a lot of holes in my own self-esteem and confidence and self-love, and it is really hard for me, and it is my full responsibility to stop trying to get it from outside sources, including my husband. But I was expecting when I got married that he would kind of be like a cheerleader, so help support me to gain that confidence and just self-knowing and trust my own self. I feel like because we've had these problems for so many years, he has very little patience for my process. Mm-hmm. So if I do one of the old behaviors that bothers him, he just wants to throw it. Like, he's so frustrated. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there's sort of like, I feel like a little bit of a pressure to be always on and make sure I am always trying so hard, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like a pressure to be perfect.
Yes. It makes me feel like extending the distance between us. And so it doesn't make me feel close to him. Mm-hmm. It almost feels patronizing in a way. Stop henpecking me. Release your expectations of me and just accept me for exactly where I am. Wherever I am ought to be okay. And I would love to feel that from my husband. If you can't lean on anybody for support, including your husband, I would think your husband would be the one person you could go to with these problems, and for your husband to say nice things to you and help you along the way. Mm-hmm. And I really wish we had that relationship.
Stephanie feels hurt and frustrated that her husband is not the one person that has her back in her time of need. And instead, she feels that he takes the opposite position, offering little empathy, patience, encouragement, or support to help her through the growth that she feels willing to do. She feels a pressure to be perfect and resents him for it, creating more distance between them.
I feel just belittled, like I'm no good, like I'm unlovable, like I can't do anything right. It feels awful. It feels exactly how my mom talks to my father, constantly pointing out everything that he's doing wrong, and he doesn't stick up for himself at all, and that's really hurtful to me.
And do you stick up for yourself?
I'm learning to, because I used to just be defensive and angry. And unfortunately, that makes my husband more angry in return. And it turns into a huge conflict. Instead of just not sticking up for myself so that everybody's quiet, I'm trying to learn how to stick up for myself and be assertive in a way that doesn't trigger him to be more angry with me. And it's really tricky and difficult.
So many times in relationship, we struggle to communicate the things that are very meaningful or important to us. And because we don't have the tools or the awareness of how to communicate that in a way that we will be heard, understood, and well received, we create even more disconnection. We create more conflict and more resentment and more feelings getting hurt. And the problem, the conflict that underlines the reason for this communication or this conversation never gets resolved. It just becomes another experience of pushing under the rug what needs to be addressed. And it builds more resentment within each person. And while it would be extremely advantageous to Stephanie for me to teach her how to communicate in a way that does not trigger her partner, the bigger, more important thing to do is to help her heal the wound and the deeper issue that lies underneath. It's just like when we're gardening. We can try to just pull the weeds that are popping up or mow over them, but they're going to keep popping up, showing up in the relationship as unresolved issues needing to be healed and removed. And if we don't address the deeper wound and heal it and pull it up, remove it from the root level, then this issue will keep popping up in her relationship and in her life in various ways. So at this point in the session, I take Stephanie even deeper through that deeper feeling to get to the root of where it was created.
It's hard for me to say words to it. And I'm also judging what I am thinking before saying, because I'm so used to doing that.
So here's the thing, we're in this space right now. This is one of the most sacred spaces that you have to just be human.
Right.
You know, to be, I'm not going to take anything that you say personally. I'm here to serve you. So you have this space too where you don't have to filter anything.
Yeah.
And it serves you not to filter it. It'll serve you more powerfully.
Right.
And we have feelings, we're human.
Right. I feel sort of dispensable. Like I'm not important. And that my only place on this planet is to serve other people. And please other people. And it really bothers me that all the men in my life have been expecting me to please them all these years, all the time, and when I displease them, they tear down who I am as a person. And that makes me really, really angry. Because it's affected me since I was born, and I feel like I've sort of been this person that isn't really me. Sort of been this like people-pleasing, quiet, don't ruffle any feathers kind of woman. And I'm so tired of being that way. I just remember the feeling at the dinner table where my two older brothers wouldn't let me talk. They dominated the conversation, and it was like everything I said was made fun of. And I felt shut down, like put in my place. And it just continued all the time from there on. from then on.
How old were you at that time?
Probably about 5. It felt like, I internalized it. It felt like, I guess I'm not a great kid. My brothers hate me. They can't stand anything I say. They don't think I'm funny. They don't want to hear what I have to say. They just find me constantly annoying. And that hurts because I thought that your family is supposed to love you.
You might start to notice that Stephanie is describing the same feeling that she had with her spouse at an earlier place in her childhood, and it was a feeling that she experienced with her brothers growing up. Our deeper wounds, our places of pain, form our insecurities, and they shape how we see and react to our world in front of us. In Stephanie's case, even though her husband might not be saying things in the best way, and perhaps he is triggered by her bringing things up, and perhaps he is acting out with intentions of defending himself or pointing the finger. Despite these things, she is prone to look for that and be in defense of that and react to it negatively because it comes from a place earlier on in her childhood. Had she not had this wound, it would not be the same in her experience. She would probably go right into compassion rather than anger and defense when her spouse starts showing up with his wounds and his triggers. But instead, like every traditional couple or relationship, when in conflict, one person's wounds and triggers trigger the other person's wounds and triggers. And we go head to head in walls, defenses, and arrows, just trying to protect ourselves and shoot the other person down. And this is a natural response. This is a human condition to protect oneself. We all have this response. And in order for us to actually evolve beyond it, we must be able to heal that deeper wound and take notice of when we are triggered and when we are going into our wounds and our triggers, and then change the outcome. And there's a quote by Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. And he says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." And this is so very true when it comes to relationships and how we react naturally from our own triggers. When we are wounded from our perceptions in our childhood, that wound will only get more and more reinforced as we grow older. Because when we are dependent, we will only look for more reasons to solidify and reinforce that same perception rather than the opposite. Our growth and our freedom comes when we step into independence and take responsibility for the perceptions that we once made. And these perceptions once served us. And this is the hardest part about taking ownership for the growth in our lives, because we form perceptions that once served us. In Stephanie's case, it served her to protect herself with these perceptions so that she wouldn't get more and more disappointed, more and more brokenhearted. So she formed these perceptions as a wall around her heart, around her feelings. So until the day that we can then face them and open them back up and take a good look at them and change them, whatever wounds that we have will be reinforced. And it's often in relationship that we come together with this other person who will trigger us, who will show us where our wounds are, where those misperceptions are that we made earlier on in our childhood, because they will get felt within us again. And it's at that point that we have an opportunity, one of our greatest and most sacred opportunities to grow. And that is why our spouse serves us greatly. They trigger us so we can grow. And as you'll hear in the next few moments, Stephanie will come to understand why she took on this perception and how it served her to have this perception in her childhood.
And that just makes me feel like don't annoy people, don't speak up, don't ever need something from somebody, because then it's just like a pain in the butt on everybody else. It's a burden. I always felt wrong for needing people. Like I shouldn't need anybody. And if I did, that was like something was wrong. I was like weak. And something was wrong with me if I needed help from somebody. And it made me feel super lonely. I was so lonely when I was little. It sucks because I just feel like I'm going through my life having to do without what I actually want and what I actually need. I mean, I had to go on antidepressants because it was like I couldn't get what I needed from my family. And it was just easier. It's just easier to not have all these sensitivities because nobody's there for me anyway. Nobody's there to help me out. Nobody wants to help me out. That's the thing. I have to beg for help. Nobody wants to help me.
In order to heal and uplift those deep wounds from the root, from where they started, we must first go back through that feeling. Once there, we can change that perception. Stephanie allowed herself to face this wound where it was very painful for her, and she let those emotions come forward in a safe space where she could say anything and allow whatever was coming forward. And now she's ready to change that perception. So I want you to just close your eyes, and if you can put both feet on the floor and take a deep breath. And just release. And I'm going to take you to this beautiful, beautiful field, this beautiful place. I want you to imagine that you're allowed to just exist here in this place. There's this beautiful field where there's no right doing and there's no wrong doing. It's a safe place to just be, where you feel free and loved and held. And this is a place that exists inside of you, a place that is bigger than your humanity of you. And if you could, I would like you to bring in a little 5-year-old girl who was criticized and put in a corner, and bring her in there with you right now. And just hold her. Give her that love that she so needed. And tell her what she needs to hear.
I'm really happy that you're here. You're very important. You're very special. I love you always, no matter what. I'm so happy that you exist. And I'm really proud of you for just you.
And you're never wrong.
And you're never wrong. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah. In fact, you will make mistakes, and they are okay when you make them.
Your mistakes don't define who you are.
You're always good.
You are good and always will be good.
You are loved and always will be loved.
You are loved and will always be loved. And don't ever feel ashamed of who you are.
Mm-hmm. And I'm always here with you.
I'm always here with you.
I'll never leave your side.
And I'm never gonna leave your side.
I'm your biggest fan.
I'm your biggest fan.
I will always support you.
I'll always support you.
Encourage you.
And encourage you.
And I'll always have your back when you fall.
And I will always have your back when you fall.
Can you tell her about what she needs to know when her brothers criticize or reject her? What does she need to know to help her through that?
They have their own problems. And they don't know what else to do about them, so they're taking them out on you, but it has nothing to do with you as a person. But they do love you deep down, they just can't get in touch with that. Always. They haven't learned how. They don't know how to show you that they love you. Nobody's teaching them how.
But they do.
But they do.
Like Stephanie, we all deal with misperceptions of reality, and we will all face them. And if we have the courage to grow, we can change them. And in order to do that, we must go back through the feeling that created it, just like Stephanie has demonstrated for us here. And now she's really ready to heal. And then from this place, go ahead and put your hand on your heart, and we will just do some self-forgiveness. So whatever misinterpretations of reality that you were making about yourself, I want to go ahead and forgive those misinterpretations.
I forgive myself for buying into the belief that I was ever not good enough or not worthy enough. It's okay that I bought into those beliefs because I didn't know any different and I didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive myself for buying into the belief that I needed to be perfect and not make any mistakes. Because all mistakes were bad. I forgive myself for judging my husband as if he were unloving or unsensitive or uncaring. I forgive myself for judging every single person that I meet and expecting them to always do the right thing. I forgive myself for judging others as having to be perfect.
As you just heard with Stephanie, I offer a new perspective about forgiveness. Forgiveness as an inside job. It's not up to someone else to redeem you for any wrongdoing that you have had. And it's not on you to redeem someone else for wrongdoing they have had. I do not have Stephanie forgive her spouse or her brothers for being something. I have her forgive herself for judging them as something. I have her forgive herself for buying into the misinterpretations of reality at that time. The actions, words, and behaviors of individuals have only to do with the internal conditioning that they have had. Deep down, there is an innocent boy or girl that started off just wanting to be loved. And after years of certain experiences and perceptions about their experiences, they have created wounds and walls upon that, and thereby end up reacting to protect. People are naturally innocent, and it does us no good to judge them or allow them to judge us. Our job is to do what we can with our own perceptions. Because the world is changed, not by our opinions, but by our example. The world is changed by the way that I reside inside of myself while I go through the challenges of life. So if I am holding resentment over my spouse or over my brothers for any actions that they have done, I'm keeping myself in my own prison. And if I instead offer myself peace by forgiving myself for judging them or creating misinterpretations of reality, then I am free to love them for the innocence and the good inside that other person. And when I do that, I can uplift them powerfully into actually stepping into that place inside of themselves. Judgment of myself, of my spouse, or anyone in my past will only create more walls, more pain, more resentment, and inevitably more judgment. Forgiveness is not something we give to others. Forgiveness is an inside job. And now Stephanie and I will move into identifying what her truth really is. The truth is that I will make mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is that I will make mistakes, and that is okay.
Mm-hmm. The truth is that my brothers made mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is that my brothers made mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is that my husband will make mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is that my husband will make mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is that the world outside and others that you meet will make mistakes, and that is okay.
The truth is everyone in the world will make mistakes, and that is okay.
My mistakes do not define me.
My mistakes do not define me.
They help me grow.
They help me grow.
The truth is that my husband deeply loves and cares for me.
The truth is that my husband deeply loves and cares for me.
And is doing the best that he knows how to show that.
And he is doing the best that he knows how to show that. The truth is that I have a wellspring of resource is inside of me, the strongest source of love and encouragement and help and support
that I will ever have.
that I will ever have.
And I can go there whenever I need it.
And I can go there whenever I need it. The truth is that I am whole and complete and perfect exactly the way that I am. And that will never ever change.
Within one powerful session, Stephanie was able to go into the root of where her pain came from and transcend all the surface level conflicts that had been showing themselves over and over again in her relationship with her spouse. She healed that pain and took on a new perception that serves her much more powerfully so that she can move forward in her relationship without having to repeat this same pattern over and over again. She didn't need to drone on for years talking and talking about it, reliving the past, or trying to deal with the surface level problems. She didn't need her spouse to be here to hear what he had to say or to hear his perspective, because it was deeper than that. One powerful and effective session is all it takes. It's that simple. You can reach Jessica Hartley at connect@jessicahartley.com or go to her website, www.jessicahartley.com.